we have had one of the biggest news stories of the year, which isn't the collapse of Carl's Jr., or whatever it's called. It is the collapse into administration of Rex. Now, this is something that a week ago, there's been murmurings of speculation, but it has sort of kind of come out of nowhere as quite a dramatic development.
It's kind of like what happened to Joe Biden, isn't it? There was, speculation and rumors that that he was going to, is he dropping out? Is he not dropping out? And then it just all happened at once.
Yes, in many ways, it's just like the US presidential election.
If you have one takeaway from this episode of the podcast, it's that Rex is exactly like Joe Biden.
Right, go on. Look, anyway, so we usually record this podcast on a Tuesday afternoon, so we've shifted to recording it on a Wednesday morning because we thought otherwise it's going to be out of date. Great move by us. So what is the latest? What do we know? So it was at 10 o'clock on Tuesday evening, Rex announced they're going into administration. What's kind of the current situation?
Current situation is that the domestic jet operations are going to be axed. Virgin is looking to take over at least 3 of those jets, which is, they've been desperate for more planes, given that their max order is delayed. So. And it's something of an ironic twist, given that Rex started its jet operations with jets that used to be flown by Virgin Australia. So it's sort of come full circle, though. I don't know if Virgin is taking back its own old jets, or if it's going to be looking for some of the newer 800s from Rex's fleet. Estimated 610 jobs to go. That's 360 in the domestic jet operations and 250 in regional. That said, regional is continuing for the time being. So those Saab flights, you can still book tickets on Rex, Saab flights to regional destinations. Those, for the moment, are not going anywhere. The government has stepped in to make sure that those regional flights keep going. In terms of Rex's domestic passengers, Virgin last night, there was an agreement with Rex that Virgin would rebook Rex's passengers free of charge. Qantas and Jetstar have come out this morning saying that they're going to do the same thing. So there are echoes of Bonza in it, but one important thing is that Rex does have its own planes in the Saab fleet. The main problem that Bonza had was that the lessor took back the planes, whereas Rex's main problem seems to be that it just ran out of money.
So we'll talk in a minute about the kind of wider problem. We've had 2 airlines go under. Can a third airline ever exist, etc., etc.? But let's just rewind back for those that aren't aware. You've had Rex, which has for 20 years been running regional operations, mostly with its Saab 340. And has made a pretty good fist of it. Kind of against all odds, managed to get through COVID in one piece. It did have some kind of limited supplemented flights from the government. But overall, for 20 years, Rex has made a very good fist of being that third airline, being profitable, of proving all of the doubters wrong. So then, kind of at the start of COVID, or midway through 2020, I think it was, Rex made this announcement that it would move into domestic jet operations, and they were quite open about why they picked their moment then, because at the time it was very cheap to lease 737s. You couldn't give them away.
And also, I think they were looking to supplant Virgin, as Virgin had gone into administration.
Yeah, exactly. So it was a kind of perfect storm, and perhaps shrewdly they took advantage. They managed to get a $150 million loan. Was it PAG? PAG. And they managed to get that quite quickly. I think they had their first 737 in the skies. I think it was March 2021, if memory serves me. They then obviously had the trouble that we thought COVID was over in Australia. It very much wasn't. We had another big set of lockdowns. But broadly, they seemed to get through that in one piece. But then what seems to have done it for them, and we don't know exactly what's gone wrong with exactly which part of the business, but it feels that this kind of post-COVID hangover is what's caused a lot of the trouble. Obviously, you had Virgin Australia come back, and actually come back bigger than we thought. I think they probably got 20, 30 more 737s than they initially intended coming out of administration. So they've emerged as a stronger rival. They've had a problem of struggling to get hold of pilots who we've obviously had a lot of pilots leave the industry during COVID, but also those that remain get poached by the bigger carriers, or poached, as you would kind of imagine. They've also had supply chain issues with their aircraft. So their Saab 340s are pretty old, and the older they get, the more they need to be repaired, they need to be serviced, etc. But getting hold of parts now is very difficult. And this perfect storm has caused them to stop a lot of their regional flights. Now, previously, we were hearing that they seemed to be making a go of their 737 flights. But as John Sharp, the now chairman of Rex, said, one of the issues they had, like Bonza had, was getting the best slots in airports, which what that basically means, particularly at Sydney, is getting the best takeoff times, the times that people actually want to fly. So they had this kind of perfect storm of things that seem to have taken them down. What do we know much about what it is that's gone wrong? Because we know that the government stepped in to protect their regional flights, as you'd expect, because they're kind of an essential service. We know that now that pretty much their capital city flights are gone. Do we know what's caused? Is there one reason particularly that's caused this mess?
I don't know if there's one reason. Certainly a factor that probably played into it is in terms of getting 737s, it's a very, very different world now than it was in 2020. Because like you said, in 2020, 737s, you couldn't give them away. Rex picked them up for a song. But now the leases on 737s are way more expensive. 737s are harder to get. That's one of the reasons that Bonza came a cropper, because it didn't have any planes and couldn't get any planes. So I think that the rise in the leasing costs for these 737s has also played at least a part in Rex going under. I think one of the major factors, though, Adam, is the Australian aviation curse. And I'm calling now, Adam, for a moratorium on praising airlines or saying that something that they're doing is a good move, or maybe that that this is a savvy thing for them to be doing, or that they're doing a good job. Because every time we say that, Adam, the airline goes bust.
But the problem with this, though, is it reflects badly on me, and it also reflects badly on you. It almost comes across as we don't have a clue what we're talking about, which worries me.
It's not that we don't have a clue what we're talking about.
Go
Adam.
on, save us. Please.
It's a curse.
It's a curse. Oh, that's okay.
Some kind of wizard, possibly warlock, has placed a curse on us personally.
Yes. Oh, okay.
That airlines that we praise go under.
Yeah.
Now, we don't know yet if this wizard is in league with the dread Enoch.
I just don't know how this is going to seem on my CV when eventually I'm turfed out for hopelessly bringing down airlines. And when I'm in my next job interview, I can go, I'll stop you there. I know it looks bad, but the warlock.
There was a wizard.
Gone.
There was a wizard.
There was
involved,
a wizard.
Adam. Yeah,
right.
It's like this was don't look too poorly on my record. Wizards were involved.
Okay, so when I'm going for my next job at not Carl's Jr., probably Macca's at this rate, I will play the warlock card, and there's probably a shortage of good burger flippers, so I might be okay.
Well, it'll be fine because McDonald's isn't an airline yet.